These two felt ornaments are very easy to make. They are sewn the same way, it's just that this one on the left has a Sharpie drawn design on the front, and then the one on the right has an embroidered design on the front and back, but creating them is exactly the same with a simple whip stitch around the edge, stuffed, and then hung with a piece of thread. To make sure the front and back of your ornament are the same, you want to make a template. Here I am folding 1/4 of a sheet of printer paper in half. I want a symmetrical design, so here if I draw just 1/2 of the heart shape, when I cut it out and open it back up, it should be perfectly symmetrical. This is going to be traced onto your fabric and cut out. When tracing your design on your felt, make sure to have your template close to the edge and try to fit the pieces close together so that way you don't have any weird spots of fabric that get wasted or are just kind of useless. Also, when you're cutting, try to cut just inside the Sharpie line so that way you won't be able to see those marks on the edge of your ornament as well. Drawing your design that you're going to stitch on the front of your fabric can be very helpful, so that way you have a guide for where you need to sew and it helps things look a little less messy. You need to make sure that your knot is on the opposite end of the thread from your needle, so that way it will hold in place. And also make sure that you start your sewing from the back, so that way the knot isn't going to show. So have your needle go from the back out the front, and you can start anywhere on your design and work any stitch that you choose. If you do choose to use a Sharpie line, make sure that you are being very careful to stay on that line while you're sewing, so that way it doesn't show. Once you've finished your design and you have a little bit of thread on the back, you need to make a double knot so it'll stay. Take your needle and go underneath a nearby stitch, pull but not all the way through so that you have a small loop, and then put your needle through that loop and pull tight. You want to go ahead and do this twice so that way you have a double knot, and it just helps to make sure that it stays secure and that that first knot does not come loose. Once you have that, then you need to get some scissors and just snip so that you have a little bit of a tail. If you go too close to the knot, it also might come undone, or you could cut it. Once your design is finished, whether it is Sharpie or embroidered, you then need to get your backing piece. Again, you can have the front designed only, you can have the front and back designed. One of the main things is if you have both pieces, you need to have the outside, the correct side out for both pieces, so exactly how you would want it to look. Get a long piece of thread and make sure it has a knot. You want the knot to be inside the stuff, so have the knot go between the two pieces of fabric, and then you'll start your whip stitch. You're going to now sew through both pieces of fabric, and you'll always go from the back out through the front and continue along. Just move your needle about, depending on how much space you want between your stitches, maybe 1/4 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch between each stitch, always going from back out through the front all the way around. When you have about a 2 to 3 inch opening left, you want to go ahead and start stuffing. I like to use the scrap felt pieces from when I'm cutting out my front and back for the felt ornament. That way it reduces waste and I just don't have any trash left over. You can use some polyester fiber fill stuffing as well, or a mixture of the two if you don't have enough scraps to completely stuff your piece. Depending on what you put into the ornament is going to kind of decide how much give you have. You don't want to overstuff it so that way it stresses your stitches, but you do want it to have a little bit of squish. Once your piece is pretty well stuffed, you want to kind of press some of that stuffing material down a little bit further so that way you can get the edges of your fabric to meet back up again and you don't have a whole lot of resistance, and you just need to finish your whip stitch and meet up back where you started. When you get back to the beginning, you want on the back to make another double knot, so just go underneath a nearby stitch, pull through but not all the way, put your needle through the loop, and then pull tight, and go ahead and do that a second time for your double knot. You want to actually not cut your thread just yet, because if you do, you'll have that little tail showing. What you're going to do is hide it inside your stuffed ornament. Put your needle nearby that last stitch you made, and then push it so that it goes all the way through the ornament and pull the needle out the other side. Then get your scissors, and you do want to give a little bit of an extra tug to the thread and give it a snip, and then once it releases it'll be stuck inside your ornament and you'll never see it again. Now, to have your ornament hang, you need another piece of thread to be sewn through where you want that object to hang. Try to even that out so it's the same length front and back, and then you just need to tie a simple knot at the top, and you would be ready then to snip the end short so it's even and go ahead and hang your ornament.